welcome to my Uncharted 2 playthrough. As I said that I was going to do this, and it's in preparation for, preparation for The Last of Us, which I should be getting. I don't know. I mean, it depends on some factors. But either way, I figured I was going to play this game again through anyway, so I decided to play it. And here we are, and we're watching this cutscene here. So while this cutscene plays out, which many people have seen 1,000 times, I'm just going to make a mention of a couple of things. For one, this is on normal difficulty, so it's not going to be anything incredibly difficult. I probably will wind up dying a few times because this game's gunfights can be pretty random at times. Because like the AI in these games, you know, they don't really have a they don't really have a pattern or anything. The AI in this game is very, very, very random, especially when you get to the latter half of the game. But anyway, here we are. One thing I need to make mention is that I am going to be switching skins around a lot. I'm thinking about doing it right now, but I don't think I'm going to. No, I'm not going to, I don't think. No, yeah, let's just go with Drake for now. So this game has a kind of a special place, I guess, in my mind for me, because it was the first. Well, it wasn't the first game I played on the PS3. The first game I played on the. Well, wait. No, that is correct. This is the first game on the PS3 I played. A lot of people like the second game, which is this one, versus the first one. I feel like the first one is actually has some things that are markedly better about it. I don't know what, but I don't know why I say that, but I think it's because of the setting of the first game. The setting of the first game is completely original and made up, so it has a lot of, you know, it's not really limited to the scope of real-world settings like Uncharted 2 is. Uncharted 2 is limited to its landscapes, because it's based off of the real-world settings and places, so it has to stick to the sort of style of those places. But anyway, I just really like the first game as well, but this game, there's a lot of refining to it, especially with its animations, and you know, that's good, but animations aren't everything. The first game also has guns that aren't in this game, and vice versa, so there are reasons to replay all three Uncharteds, because all three of them have different guns and different animations and all the other, you know, stuff. So now this this always happens to me. I always seem to never grab the ladder. I always seem to miss it by like an inch, and I swear before, whenever I played it, I've always tried to make it so I could always get up there perfectly, but sometimes I'm just an inch off. So yeah, not really, didn't go as planned there. So the beginning is really slow if you've already played it before, which I have. I played it a lot. And you know, a lot of people say this game is better than the third game. I tend to disagree in some parts. Uncharted 3 does a lot of things better than Uncharted 2 does. The only thing I'll agree that's wrong with Uncharted 3 is its pacing. The beginning is too slow, the middle is too fast, and the end is sort of just right. The end is sort of just the right length for the ending part of a game. But the problem is with the third game is they take it too slowly at the beginning. Like you don't get your first gun you don't get your first gun action until chapter 4. The first 4 chapters are just limited to Drake walking, climbing, and fisticuffs. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, Uncharted 2 gives you the first chapter gives you your gun immediately. So it definitely doesn't hold back. And chapter 2 of this game, you get the tranquilizer gun. So you're already, you're on the onset of this game's story that you are ready and set for gun battles. And of course, tons of people tend to argue that gun battles aren't very good or very fun in Uncharted because there's infinite spawns, and Uncharted 3 apparently has a lot of infinite spawns. That's bullshit. There are no infinite spawns in Uncharted 3. There are no infinite spawns in Uncharted 3. I mean, I just played through it melee only. I wouldn't have been able to do that if there were infinite spawns in Uncharted 3. Do enemies spawn? Are there spawns set behind you in Uncharted 3? Yes, there are. Just as there are spawns set behind you in Uncharted 2. Just as there are spawns set behind you in Uncharted 1. It's been there since the franchise's birth. Okay. I can't really tell you what you could do about that other than to anticipate it, because it's going to happen. And the reason why they do that is because if they don't do that, you're just going to sit in that one spot the whole time for the gun battle, when really Uncharted is about moving around. But because there's cover, and because of other third-person shooters like Gears of War and other cover shooters that have, been birthed because of Gears of War and Uncharted, players tend to think because there's cover, it means they have to sit behind it the whole time and just shoot people from that one lone piece of cover and they'll be okay. No, that's not true. In Uncharted, you're supposed to utilize your movement options to maneuver from one piece of cover to the next, or also just jump out of cover and go guns blazing. It's never been about sitting there and gaining health every time you do get shot. Yes, there are times where it's smart to do that, because in Uncharted 2 there are moments where you are forced into doing that, and you cannot help that. There are parts where they purposefully only limit you to like 2 or 3 pieces of cover and you're in a narrow space. Yes, I'm aware there are the situations like that, and there are situations like that in Uncharted 3, but they are less so in Uncharted 3. In Uncharted 3, I wouldn't have been able to do melee only if there was a lot of narrow spaces where you were forced to use cover. I would not have been able to do that, because then the enemies would have gunned me down right away, and before I could even start to melee them. So don't even tell me that Uncharted 3 is about sitting behind cover and gunning people. No, it's definitely about movement and using your movement to shoot people. And other shooters don't really have that. They don't really have the breadth of, options that Uncharted has at its disposal, with its rolling and its jumping and its climbing. Namely the climbing and vaulting over cover and everything else. I mean, yes, some games do have the vaulting over cover and all those other things, but the thing is, the way Naughty Dog builds these combat arenas, it allows for you as the player to take advantage of those mechanics they've built into the game. But anyway, I digress. Let's actually play this game. So, yeah, this level, I'm gonna make some silly mistakes. I just know it. Oh, I gotta get this gun here. See what I mean? I got the gun. First chapter here. And I'm missing this lock here. There, I got it. This first guy coming up here, you don't actually have to shoot. They give you the implication that you do, and it's your instinct to shoot. So you can gun him down if you want, but you can also just let the explosion take care of it for you. And that's what I decided. That's what I decided to do. So that was that. But see what I mean? They give you the gun, in this first chapter. So you're already set. You're already set to get into the action of the game. And yes, I could actually skip past the slow animation by using the aim walk instead, but I'm choosing not to. I'd rather not. I'd rather just enjoy the game again, because it's been a while since I've played through this game. It's been, I think, maybe close to a year, maybe stretching 2 years. I think 2 years is about right. I have thought about revisiting the multiplayer even, but then that doesn't really seem to make sense to me, because Uncharted 3 is still, in my opinion, better than Uncharted 2's multiplayer currently is. But, anyway. So, I can't really say much. I guess I can talk a little bit more about what else does Uncharted 3 do better? Well, Uncharted 3 does the melee system better. It works better with what Uncharted is set out to do, which is to give you, the player, tons of options to dispose of your enemies, to continue your movement. Uncharted 2's melee is very restrictive. You can only attack one enemy at a time, and you're stuck in a sort of special animation, cutscene combat animation, and more than likely you're going to die. Compared to Uncharted 3, where most of the time you can actually melee someone without dying as you're being shot, and you can then move on to the next guy that's trying to gun you down, and it's more quote-unquote free-form in that sense than Uncharted 2. And in some ways Uncharted 1 is more free-form than Uncharted 2's melee combat, but it's worse still because of how many hits the enemies take in Uncharted 1 to kill them with your brutal combo, or whatever you want to call them. So, yeah, not the best stuff. And from the onset here, of course, we have this relationship with Chloe, and, you know, this love triangle in this game, whereas there's none of that in Uncharted 3, so it feels... Chloe feels more tacked on in Uncharted 3 to some degree, and, you know, the group of them, gets bloated in that game. You know, you have 4 people in one chapter, whereas in this game that doesn't have that. The most amount of people you have together are 3. But what else does Uncharted 3 do better? Let me go back to that. I'm kind of rambling. Funny story when I was at this part one time, as an aside here. One time I was jumping through here. You can actually jump. You don't have to... They don't restrict you. You can jump. And one time I was jumping, and I jumped so quickly and got to this part that my PS3 was, like, chugging a little bit. So it almost kind of froze on me because how quick I was. So that's a little funny, but... Anyway, that's why I don't do that anymore. But, yeah. The thing is that there's... like, Uncharted 3... The combat scenarios and the halfway point of the game are complained about the most, but I feel like they're the best part of the game. And Uncharted 2 doesn't really have anything like those parts, except for, I guess, the train, and I guess, what else? I guess I don't know, I think the train is the only thing that's anywhere close to the shipyard gun battles, but I think the shipyard gun battles are better than the stuff leading up to Uncharted 2's train segment, which we will talk about when I get to that part. Good lord. So, for this chapter, I'm going to switch skins as soon as this cutscene's over, but Uncharted 3, like, there's just... I don't know, aside from the story elements of that game, I think the levels themselves are definitely better designed. There are some levels I still do like a lot more in Uncharted 2 than Uncharted 3, so um, there's a reason to go back to Uncharted 2. You know, Uncharted 2 single player, aside from the story and aside from um, a whole other slew of things.
Figure it out as we go. I don't fumble, I improvise.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
You just can't,
Adaptable.
You cocky bastard.
like, you know, there's no reason to hate there's no reason to hate Uncharted 3. I feel like the hate for Uncharted 3 is undeserved. It just because it didn't live up to or surpass Uncharted 2's hype and praise and quote-unquote perfection doesn't mean that it's suddenly the worst game of the series. I would certainly still kind of rate Uncharted 3 above Uncharted 1 just because of the gameplay additions Uncharted 3 made alone. Because ultimately, story doesn't really matter for a game. And I understand that Uncharted is built on its story, but Uncharted 1 didn't have the strongest story either. You know, lots of people tend to forget that game ended with Spaniard zombies, or Nazi zombies, or whichever one, you know. Spaniard zombies. Oh, I'm gonna switch skins here. I gotta wait until my PS3 is ready, though, so... But while we're waiting, and I'm getting that squared away, people forget that Uncharted 1 ended on Spaniard zombies. I mean, Spaniard zombies. Think about that for a moment. And then Uncharted 3, we have, we just have these hallucination enemies. You know, because Drake is drugged from the water that he drank or whatever. And it's like, well, that's a lot better than the Spaniard zombies that appeared out of nowhere at the end of the game in Uncharted 1. So it's just like, I mean, I can forgive Uncharted 3's plot holes because of how fun it is to play it. I'm willing to forgive those gameplay holes. I mean, not gameplay holes, I mean plot holes in the story, which, by the way, they are very small plot holes. I don't think they're huge like people are making them out to be. I mean, we can assume that Talbot had body armor when he gets shot. You know, like, he's not that much of an idiot to not have any kind of body armor when he gets shot by Cutter. I mean, come on, guys. Is that really something to rage about? That, oh, they didn't explain this in a cutscene. You know, they didn't have Marlowe say he had body armor, or have Talbot show that he had body armor that had a gunshot hole in it. You know, we didn't have a cutscene. You know, we didn't have another cutscene explaining a minute of that. Oh, Uncharted 3 is bad. It's so overblown. It's ridiculous. I just, it's so overblown, and I just, you know, it's sad, really, like, really sad. So it's sad that much attention was put on the story and plot holes versus what the game actually did well and right. You can fault it for the story as much as you like, and you can knock it for the story as much as you like, but there's still good aspects to the game because it's a game. The story isn't everything to the game. It's an interactive piece of media. It's a game. You partake in playing the game. That's the primary thing, is playing it. The story can only be experienced for the first time once. After that, there's no reason to really complain about the story at that point, because it's like, well, the only thing that matters now that I own the game, is the gameplay. And how does that hold up? The gameplay is good in Uncharted 3. I mean, there are things you can complain about. Um, there are things you can complain about it, but at the end of the day, it's still a good game. It's a lot better than some games that were released in 2012. It's a lot better than some games were released this past 3 months. Um,
All right.
it's certainly not as
We're not going this way. Not if you want to keep your skin.
crap. I just lost my train of thought while I was playing here for a second, but it's not just shoot after shoot after shoot after shootout like BioShock Infinite. You know, it doesn't have extreme character narrative problems like Tomb Raider, where she's killing hundreds to thousands of human beings, even though she's supposed to be taken as this inexperienced treasure hunter or adventurer. You know, like, because it's her first adventure. But really, she's clearly able. She's clearly willing and able to kill hundreds of thousands of people without questioning her morality or integrity. Whereas Uncharted 3, you don't kill hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, maybe you kill close somewhere in the hundreds, but definitely not nearly anywhere as much as Booker DeWitt in BioShock Infinite or Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. And those games, they have some serious narrative issues with that stuff. And I'm not saying Uncharted doesn't. I mean, Uncharted has that same integrity problem, but it's based off of the Indiana Jones idea, where the heroine, I mean the protagonist, laughs it off. It's supposed to be funny. It's not, you know, the game story isn't taken super seriously. That's why there's these supernatural elements to the game. Whereas Tomb Raider, while it does have those supernatural elements, the game has a serious tone. And so does BioShock Infinite. It has a serious tone. So, you know, I would say Uncharted 3 is better than both those games, still. Because it it doesn't have those same problems. I mean, it kind of does, but it deals with them differently. And that's what allows you to excuse. That's what allows me to excuse that game from those same problems. But that's just my opinion, really. And maybe because I'm kind of a fanboy for the series. I don't know. If that's the case, then I don't really care. But the truth is that the hate that game gets is so overblown and out of proportion, and I just can't believe I still see it to this day, that there's all that hate for it, for the single player. It's not even the multiplayer. I mean, multiplayer has its shit ton of problems, but anyway, that's me ranting, I guess, on that stuff. Stupid Flynn, I tried to get ahead of him here. Ugh. He's so annoying. I always try to get ahead of him. Oh shit, oh my god, there's these guys here. Oh man, what are we gonna do? Oh, that's right, yeah, this is a tutorial. I actually kind of forgot for a second there. I was like, oh crap, I totally screwed up. Oh man. It's been a while since I have played this part. Chapter 2, man, I remember when this game first came out and reviews were out, and the major thing, you know, gaming journos, quote unquote, had, the main problem with this game they had was this one chapter where you had to stealth through the game. And it was like the first time I think this kind of situation was introduced into a third-person shooter type of game. And so that's why they couldn't do it, because they couldn't figure out, because they couldn't go the intended way that developers wanted them to go. And so that's what happened. And oh Jesus, why did I roll? No, oh my god, I'm gonna get caught. Wait, I didn't get caught. Oh, never mind, I got caught. Oh my god. Well, that's what happens when you haven't played this game in a while. There's something weird about my controller right now. I can't put my finger on it, but for some reason my analog stick feels kind of funky. I don't know. But back to what I was saying before I royally screwed up. Because I've been playing a lot of Rising lately, so I thought, my brain thought for a second that circle meant stealth kill. And that's what it is in Rising, is to stealth kill with circle. So yeah. But anyway, the main thing that they knocked for this game was this part of the game because they couldn't figure out like how to get around this part of the game because the intended route doesn't really work. Um, you have to go about it an extremely specific way, and really the route that I discovered that works 100% of the time um, is really the way they should have had you do it. But instead, they try to point you to go down the stairs and stealth kill each and every single one of the guys when you realistically can't do that. So, yeah, it's really kind of. I mean, it was kind of dumb how they knocked it for their own skill, because they couldn't figure out another way to get around it. But I will admit that it is probably pretty badly designed. So, and it's not really the most fairest and greatest of stealth of any game, really. It's very rudimentary and very basic, and it is sort of it sort of does detract from the experience. But anyway, I think I'm going to stop it here, guys. So I will see you in the next part. Peace!